All right, this may be a little better here. Welcome everyone to the Lindbergh Schools Board of Education regular meeting number 1516 is now called to order. Dr. Lake, do we have any changes to the agenda?
We do not.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Second.
Okay, motion by Mike, second by Jennifer. We'll take a roll call vote as we're doing the meeting virtually. Mike Shamiat, yes. Karen Schuster?
Yes.
Matt Alonso?
Yes.
Christy Watts?
Yes.
Jennifer Miller?
Yes.
Dr. Mike Tishless?
Yes.
Dr. Kathy Cowlick-Lorenz?
Yes.
She muted?
Yes.
All right. Thumbs up. Okay.
Yes.
7-0. We will now move to the Pledge of Allegiance. As you're able, everyone please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So just so everybody knows, in order to meet St. Louis County guidelines, we are still meeting in a social distance school environment here with the cabinet and board members only in order to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Meeting is also conducted using Zoom and streaming online via the district's YouTube channel. We'll move to 4.0 special recognitions. Those continue to be on hold until we're able to have in-person meetings, and at which time we will continue those recognitions. 5.0 special resolutions and commendations. We have no individual or consent resolutions for this meeting. 6.0 citizen comments regarding agenda items. As we are not able to be present with citizens at our meeting, as noted in board docs, we are taking comments via email to boe@lindberghschools.ws. Those questions will be answered in writing as they come in and after this meeting takes place. So we'll move to 7.0. 7.01, our calendar of events. Mr. Secretary, will you please review the calendar of events?
Yep. So the Lindbergh Teacher Institute has been going on this past week, last week and this week. We have some 6th grade transition days and freshman transition days coming up on August 17th and 18th. Staff report back on August 19th. There's an all-staff orientation and work day. And then for those of you who don't know, school starts the week of August 24th. And then we'll have some board advisory meetings, and then Labor Day is September 7th, so the school will be closed, and we'll be back here again on September the 8th.
All right, thank you, Matt. 7.02 is our report of meetings. This is where board members get an opportunity to report on any state, parent group, or other meetings they attended either virtually or in person. So if anybody has anything they'd like to highlight or report on, please go ahead.
Yeah, Jennifer Miller and I attended the Diversity and Equity Workshop. It was held over 2 days. I thought it was great. Let's see, why am I saying ums? It was just very well done. The information was wonderful, and it took us from history through current times. It allowed us a lot of personal perspectives to be shared, and really brought to light for me a new perspective for the African-American community. I'm gonna cry because that's what I did most of the time during the seminar, during the workshop, but it was very moving, and it was, I would wish that everyone would be interested in going and would go, because again, I walked away feeling great and feeling like I want to change the world.
I know.
So,
Every day, like when we left, and then even for a week after, well, more than a week, but your brain's just going over everything, and you're thinking of all these things and how it kind of applies in your daily life, and then even past that and things. And already ordered my books from Amazon, just got them yesterday, things like that. It was a full 2 days, and if you guys have the opportunity to go when we do it again, like if you can make it work in your schedule, it is well worth it.
Yeah.
What book were you guys asked for?
We
They just had a list of books.
Oh, it was okay.
So I anticipate that we'll continue doing that each summer, since it is a 2-day workshop. We were able to send our coaches and our new administrators this summer, so we want to continue to expand. We also sent our equity building leadership team members this year. So we want to continue to expand that work. So it's going to be an ongoing opportunity each summer.
And speaking of that, I think we have some follow-up meetings planned. And so I felt that was a really great move, because sometimes we go to a workshop or we go to something and then it just kind of ends. So I really liked the concept that we would meet back again. I know it's at least 4 times. So
Yes, with the same group of people and kind of talk about your progress and what you've learned even more and things like that. It's been really, I can't say enough, and it's really hard to actually, when you leave it, to concisely say what you've learned, because it's so big.
yeah. Otherwise, just been at home. So yeah, that's it.
Anybody else? Anything? Mike?
Yeah, last Friday, I chaired our Region 7 MSBA meeting with other committee members, and we did so virtually and discussed what's kind of going on both at MSBA and of course with our region. I think we all know now that we won't be attending the conference in Kansas City as was originally planned for the annual conference at the end of September. That went from in-person and virtual to now all virtual. And so we'll be receiving information on workshops that we can register for, presentations that are going to be provided online that the board members across the state can participate in. They're working on those now because this decision was just actually recently made. And as many know, because of our situation and the lockdowns, our group, that is our Region 7 group, hasn't been able to meet. Do the kinds of things we've done in the past. We didn't have our typical, spring regional meeting, but we are planning, fingers crossed, to do a spring regional in person next year. We typically do this, like the end of March, beginning of April. And we would probably then have it where we intended to do it this year, which is up in Riverview Gardens. One of our committee members is a board member there, and they were ready to do it this past year, looking forward to it. But then COVID occurred. So we're hopeful that we'll be out there at their district the next spring. And also we had some interesting discussion about, especially now, since so many people are isolated, board members from districts all over, if there was a way we couldn't sort of set up a platform by which Region 7 board members could engage with one another, because we just haven't had the opportunity for as much in person, but to engage, virtually, or on something like, we would develop like a listserv where, you would sign up for it as a board member from Region 7, and then be able to participate in discussions on just a variety of topics. And it would be, such a platform would be administered by MSBA. Janet Tilley, who's now our staff liaison, would be involved with that. Janet's agreed to do that. I think it's a really kind of cool, innovative approach to keep us in touch with one another. And we can be discussing just a variety of topics. And I think it's going to make for some great interaction. So we're hoping to kick that off this year and get that up and running. And we'll be receiving, instructions and email on that in the near future. That's it.
All right, thanks, Mike. 7.03 announcements, we have none. 7.04 review of the upcoming board meeting agendas, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah, so we will be back at a regular board meeting on September the 8th. During that meeting, we'll hear the first reading of the 21-22 school year calendar. And then on September 22nd, we'll be back here again for a workshop. We'll be reviewing the communication covenants, the energy audit, and the Compass update. And then following that workshop, we will have our special hearing on the tax rate. So we'll hear from citizens on that date. And then immediately following that, we will vote on the tax rate proposal.
All right, thanks, Matt. 7.05, no board member appointments at this meeting. 7.06 is normally the MSBA report, which we are not showing since we have no in-person audience, but we invite you, if you're so inclined, to click on the link in board docs and view this month's report. We'll move to 8.0 is special reports. This is where the cabinet gives their updates on their committees, and Joelle Facilities doesn't meet till September 23rd, but you also have finance.
We have finance meeting prior to every board meeting, so that group reviews what's coming to the board and asks questions, detailed questions about the finances, and any bids or quotes that are on the board meeting tonight. So we did that. We did have some conversations about opening the school because it's kind of hard not to meet and not talk about that. So that was good. And they also were looking closer at budget amendments because, like I said, when we adopted the budget this year, we had the budget pretty much done in March, and then COVID hit. And so as things are changing with COVID, we're making these amendments as they have revenue and expenditure side.
All right, thanks. Brian, Human Resources?
We talked about the monthly personnel report. We met this past Thursday, and we also talked about the process for moving people as needed into ARC and to other positions as we had some enrollment changes due to ARC. So we talked about our process for moving people from one position to another and gathering input on that and attempting for it to be an all voluntary process, but we were successful in getting people moved where they needed to be. So we talked about that process. We'll meet again in September.
All right, thanks. I know, Tara, your three have not met yet. Do you have anything you want to add? Or?
The Technology Board Advisory meets at the end of this month, and then the others pick up next month.
All right, perfect. 8.02, curriculum updates. There's no reports there. We'll move to 9.0, which is action items by consent. You provided items 9.01 to 9.17. Would anyone like to remove any item for individual consideration? All right, hearing none, may I have a motion to approve action items 9.01 through 9.17 as presented by consent?
So moved.
Motion by Karen, second by Jennifer. Any discussion or questions? Okay, hearing none, we'll do our roll call vote. Mike Shamia, yes. Karen Schuster,
Yes.
Matt Alonso,
Yes.
Christy Watts,
Yes.
Jennifer Miller, sorry. Dr. Mike Tishless and Dr. Kathy Carlock-Lorenz. Did we get a
Yes.
thumbs up?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
7-0 on that vote. 10.0 individual action items. We do have a 10.01 item, which is the calendar update for this year's school year, and this is Tara.
Yes, so you'll notice that we are making a couple of recommendations for a change to this school year calendar. Specifically, the biggest one is to push back our start date by 3 days because we are starting school in a mix of phase 2 and phase 3. There are 2 reasons for that. Number one, the professional learning time of our teachers is really essential for a strong start to the school year. 3 days to ensure that everyone's ready to balance a virtual platform as well as an in-person learning environment is too short of a period of time. And we want to make sure that our teachers feel comfortable and confident with the programming that they're going to begin with students on the first day of school. Additionally, with students starting in phase 2, we did not want to start any students in an all virtual day. So by starting on a Thursday, that allows us to get all of our kindergartners through 3rd graders in school in person one day to receive their devices, to make sure they're acclimated, start doing the onboarding that's going to be necessary to help them be successful in those remote learning days as well. The second element to the calendar change is also related to phase 2. Because phase 2 has us grouping students, Group A attending in person on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Group B attending in person on Wednesdays and Fridays. We do not want to have Fridays as days off of school for students. It's better to move those to a Monday, where the all virtual day can be the day of no student attendance. So you'll notice that on October 16th, which was scheduled to be the end of first quarter, half-day records day for teachers and half-day professional learning day, we're recommending the move to Monday, October 19th for that. So it still gives families that 3-day weekend, a clean cut to the quarter, but then it also allows us not to have to shuffle the student expectation of attendance days. At this point, we are only looking at making any calendar changes to first semester. We'll continue to evaluate how things are going as we move into second semester. But those are the recommendations that I have at this time.
All right, thank you. So a motion to approve item 10.01, calendar update.
So moved.
Motion by Matt, second.
Second.
Second by Kristen. Any questions, comments for Tara?
A couple of parents have asked why we're not having the student, and I wasn't on the committee, so why are we not having students in the same group Tuesday, Wednesday, or Monday, Tuesday, off on Wednesday, group B, if you will, Thursday, Friday?
The thinking is that, let me take this off so I can make sure everyone can hear me. Because when students come on Tuesday, the teacher can set them up immediately for the work that they'll do the next day and work independently. We thought that if they had those, keep in mind that when teachers are sending their students off to work remotely on those alternating days, they have another group of kids coming in to work with them. So they're not going to be available to provide ongoing support, to be able to Zoom live with students because they've got their in-person students as well. So that combination of being in person one day, remote learning one day, the next day, and back and forth, that alternating day allows that to be a more seamless process of learning where there's a very clear expectation, this is what you need to do tomorrow, and then bring back to me the next day. So it doesn't feel like this span of time that is overwhelming for families.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Christy, I was on the task force and we talked about that, like different models of like what group goes when and things. And there was a lot of concern too over too long of a period of time being out of the classroom could be detrimental to students because they would need to check in with that teacher to make sure they're retaining and they might not be able
So
to.
they were out on Tuesday, so Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, that's too long.
Well, and I would also say this, the incubation period is anywhere from 2 to 14 days, but typically it's a 2 to 4 day window. So if you are in class on Thursday, you're not back in class until Tuesday. So that's kind of that window of time if somebody starts to show symptoms, things like that as well. So it allows us to there's a model out there called the 410 that's been successful. And so it kind of models that a little bit that we talked about in the task force as well. So.
Okay, good.
Any more questions, comments? All right, so again, we'll take a roll call vote on this item. Mike Shamia, yes. Karen Schuster,
Yes.
Matt Alonso,
Yes.
Christy Watts,
Yes.
Jennifer Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Mike Tishless.
Yes.
And Dr. Kathy Kolek-Lorenz. We got a thumbs up. I can't see her online.
She's got thumbs up.
All right. 7-0 on the vote for the calendar update. 11.0, this is reports. I'm sure many of you have joined or are interested in this section. 11.0101 is the green light plan update. 11.0102 is the DESE annual secretary of the board report, which is a financial report that's an annual item. But on 11.0101, I'll let Dr. Lake take over for that one.
Sure. So we released our plan to the community with, ongoing conversations with you all in collaboration around that plan. This is the first time we've formally been together. This does not require board action, but there does need to be something for the record for the board to have a conversation around if you so choose. So we've developed a plan, we believe, that allows us flexibility to meet the changing environment with this virus. That changes seems to be daily. And so I just want to publicly thank the committee, the 60-some people that worked with us, our patrons and our kids and our staff and just community members and the yeoman's effort per se that they put in on that, and just their passion and their attention to detail and the brainstorming and the ideas. I feel very confident in our plan, and it allows us 3 phases of flexibility. And so hopefully, we are starting, as everyone knows, that we're starting K-3 in phase 2 and 4 through 12 in phase 3. And our intent is to continue to be in ongoing conversations with public health officials and the medical professionals that we consult with, and monitoring and tracking the numbers. Dr. McKinney does that daily for us, looking not just globally at the county numbers, but also our zip code of our attendance area, and plus the zip codes of school districts that touch us, just to see what's going on with the virus in that community as well. So lots of things, lots of metrics going out there, but that's kind of where we are with our plan. So I will turn it over to you all if you have any questions regarding our plan or comments on our plan.
Good questions. I know everybody's been fully informed, but
I have a question. Since part of the district is on phase 3, I know that in phase 2, we had left like that Monday afternoon or morning, depending on grade level, for professional learning and PLC and different things like that. With the phase 3 plan, is there built-in time for that as well?
There is built-in time for that because our secondary schedules don't start until 9:30. That contract time in the morning allows for our teachers to be able to have professional learning, work together in their PLCs, support students differently as well. That opens up that option. The same is true within our elementary schedules as we've designed those elementary schedules for phase 3. There's a chunk of time in the middle of the day that allows for that as well. So there is definitely time that we can continue to provide ongoing support for our staff.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
any other questions?
And
Are we thinking that this will be through the end of the year, or our time frame is somewhat flexible?
Well, yeah, there is no time frame. So here's what I would tell you. This is what I've said, publicly in some other venues. We are going to monitor this daily. We're looking at like 7-day averages on some of our data points, and we've asked our families to be flexible. We think we probably 72 hours. That's not a lot of time, but I think our families are so eager to get their kids back into school that if we saw things that we might be able to, our hope would be to give families a week or so before we said, hey, we're going to move to phase this or that, but there is no timeline. I just don't want to commit to a quarter when we could have them back in 4 weeks. And so just know that we may be back and then we're starting K2 and or K3, and I'm so hopeful that that's successful all year and we can eventually move them into phase 1. But we could also 2 weeks into it be in phase 3 with them as well. So there is no timeline. There is no, I know people have asked for that. I can't give that, and we're not going to, but we will continually give updates and monitor all of our metrics and ongoing conversations with people to get our kids back in our building. That's our number one goal, is to get kids back in our buildings as fast as safely and as fast as we can. So I talked today with somebody on the phone about, being aggressively cautious is what we want to do. We want to be very cautious, but we want to be, it's best for our kids to be in our schools working with our trained professionals on as often as we can get them there. So we all know that.
Yes.
Would we utilize any other survey kind of data to inform that as well, as far as what?
We can do another dipstick on that as well. So for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we will definitely provide platforms for that. But right now, really, it's the guidance from the health department and metrics, and I've learned a lot about R0 values and positivity rates for 100,000 and tracking, cases daily. So, and like I said, Dr. McKinney's kind of our point person on that and capturing that for us each day, but I check it regularly, so.
Any additional questions? Anybody? I just want to say too, for everybody that's out there that, you know, I've had sort of a front row seat talking to Dr. Lake and throughout the process. And I think I would challenge anyone to find administration in the school district to put in more work and effort to find the right data and the right sort of recipe to get a process where kids can get back to school where they need to be. So I applaud you guys for doing that. It's been an extraordinary effort.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for that.
Well, I'll just say it goes to the team. I mean, Tara and her team and Joelle and Beth and Brian, the people that work with them, the people that were on the task force. I mentioned that earlier, but it's lots of hours. There has been no stone unturned trying to figure out how to get our kids safely back in our building. And so we feel like we have a good plan and a good process to start with our K-3 kids and hopefully move quickly and safely.
Absolutely. Like I said, I challenge anyone to find an administration that's done more work with this. You guys have been great, so thank you. So we'll move to 12.0, which is citizen comments for regarding non-agenda items. This would be an opportunity for citizens to make comments on non-agenda items as we don't have any in-person citizens at our meeting. You can email any comments you have to boe@limburgschools.ws, and we will respond in writing following this meeting. Now we move to 13.0, which is recess. We've already conducted our executive session, so there's no need to do that. So we can move to 16.0, which is adjournment.
Hank,
Oh, sorry.
You skipped Joelle on.
Oh, I did?
For the record. Can we go back?
Oh, you want to go? You have some comments? on
Or
the
just real quick, just
I
make
didn't know
sure.
she.
No, she may not have any comments. Did you guys have any questions? We
We'll go
probably-
back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll go back to 11.0102. Sorry for the annual report.
In addition to every August 15th, the state report is due. I just think it's a good thing to be transparent with our public with how our financials are. It's all the financials that we had from last year that we report to you in one format. Well, by August 15th each year, we put that in the state format. But this is the format that's used by the state to compare us to all the districts. So if you go to any, school district website, you usually can find this, and then it's a nice tool to say, how do we compare with them on all of our revenue expenditures? So, thank you, Mike.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Lake, for pointing out.
I would like to pretend that I was caught it and somebody else got my attention.
All right, my apologies. Thank you, Joel. So now we can move to adjournment. If I can have a motion to adjourn meeting 1516.
So moved.
Motion by Jennifer, second. Second by Mike. This is always a roll call vote. So Mike Shannon, yes. Karen Schuster.
Yes.
Matt Alonso. Yes. Christy Watts.
Yes.
Jennifer Miller.
Yes.
Dr. Tisches.
Yes.
And Dr. Kathy Collick-Lorenz. Do we have a thumbs up?
Yes.
All right, double thumbs up.
Double
All right.
thumbs up.
7.0. So the Limburg Schools Board of Education meeting 1516 is now adjourned, and we thank you all for joining us.